Hey, how's it going? I am talking today about what pace do you need to keep at the Run Disney races. This is Running to the Castle, a podcast for injury-prone Run Disney runners on a journey to running magical miles. Join me, Dr. Allie, as I share the secrets I've gathered as a runner, doctor of physical therapy, and coach. You'll learn the exact ways I get my clients to the castle strong without feeling broken or held together with KT tape as they cross the finish line. Okay, so you've heard about the balloon ladies. You've heard about DNF, did not finish. You've heard about getting swept. What pace do you actually need to keep for each race so that you don't get swept? Right? So the gist of it, the quick and dirty, is 16 minutes per mile. But wait, Dr. Allie, I can't do that. I'm at 17 and a half minutes per mile. It's okay. Don't worry. So the next question I would ask my client if they said that to me is, what race are you doing? If they say the 5K, no problem. If you are running a Run Disney 5K, it's technically untimed. Now, I say technically because there will come a point that they will get people off the course so that they can go about their normal day opening the park. Now, the races start at 5 a.m. So typically for a 5K, there is plenty of time before the park is supposed to open. But there are special circumstances where there's a possibility, I guess, that they would ask you to move it along. But typically, as long as you're moving during the 5K, even if it's taken longer than the 16 minute per mile, they'll let you stay on the course. Okay, so for the 5K, you don't need to worry about it. But what about the 10K, the half marathon, a 10-miler, or the full marathon? Like if you're doing marathon weekend, that's when the full marathon is. It is a 16 minute per mile. Again, don't worry yet, because that 16 minute per mile is when the last person crosses the start line. Okay? And there are thousands of people doing this race. At the time of recording this, it is Princess Half Marathon weekend. I think I saw for the half marathon, there's just under 20,000 bibs. Okay, 20,000 runners for that race over this race weekend. Okay, so that you get divided up into corrals, and then within each corral, you have different waves of going through. So you have Corral A, and then you'll have wave 1 of Corral A and wave 2 of Corral A. That's how they slowly but surely and steadily get people across the start line. The last people to cross the start line are known as the balloon ladies. They are the unofficial timekeepers of a Run Disney race. They aren't actually the people who sweep you. The people who sweep you are riding bicycles behind the balloon ladies. The balloon ladies are a group of participants, typically women, who literally wear the Disney balloons so that you can see them on the course. But they are holding the last bit of line for each Run Disney race. And then the bikes behind them, if anybody falls behind the balloon ladies at a checkpoint, those people on the bikes will guide you off the course. They will sweep you off the course, bring you to a bus, and you'll be bussed to the finish line. You do get your finisher's medal, even if you don't finish the race. As long as you cross the start line, you get a medal at the Run Disney races. So with that in mind, with the balloon ladies keeping the 16 minute per mile pace, you just need to stay in front of the balloon ladies. So if you're in Corral B, for example, you don't have to keep the 16-minute per mile pace. I have a client who did Dopey and she walked the whole thing. And I think she kept like a 19-minute per mile pace, 18 and a half, 19-minute per mile pace for the different races. And she did not get swept. She finished the marathon, I think 20 minutes before the balloon ladies. So there was even some more wiggle room there. Now she's guaranteed a Corral B placement because she's a club runDisney participant. So she had B as in boy, that was her corral. She did not need to keep a 16-minute per mile pace because she was so many corrals ahead of the balloon ladies. So if you are injury prone or struggling with injuries, which my clients are, that's who I work with. I don't work with people who are trying to PR and get an 8-minute per mile, a 7-minute per mile pace, and I want to run the half marathon in an hour 30. Those aren't the type of people I work with. The type of people I work with are injury prone. They've been riddled with injuries through the years. They want to run. They want to do runDisney specifically. They want to do it without feeling broken or like they need to be held together with KT tape. And so their paces are typically the 14, 15, and 16-minute per mile, sometimes even slower, like I just gave that example. And they can still cross the finish line because if they're in a corral further up than what the balloon ladies are in, they don't need to worry about it. Now, of course, they're going to worry about it. I worried about it when I did the half marathon at marathon weekend. Now, granted, it was the half of the half because it was 2024. But I was still worried. Like, am I going to have time for character lines and, get some good photos and things like that? And my pace is faster than the 16-minute per mile. It's not a 9-minute per mile. It's not a 10-minute per mile, but it is faster than 16. And I was worried. So I get it. You're going to be worried about it, but think about it logically. If you are not starting with the balloon ladies, you don't have to keep the 16-minute per mile. So if you've been riddled with injuries, injury-prone runners, you may not have time for a lot of character stops, because that will slow you down. Character lines can be 30 plus minutes long. I think I waited in line. I did one character stop because it was Hercules and Megara, and you never see them. And I love Meg. So you never see them out in the park. So I saw the sign for them and I was like, this is the one I'm waiting for. It was, I was hoping for Joy from Inside Out, but the half of the half marathon over marathon weekend, it was, I think the time frame was 80s and 90s, so I knew Inside Out was not going to be there because that's 2016, so I knew that movie was not going to be there. Hercules was 97, so I saw that sign, and I was like, yep, I am going to stand in that line. I stood in line for 30 minutes. I did not stand in line for any other characters, and it's a good thing I didn't because they did cut the course again. Now, that rarely happens. There was impending lightning, and it was for the safety of everybody involved. I do agree with that decision. There ended up being no lightning, so it's a bummer, but you have to make the call early. So that I totally get. But I'm glad I didn't stand in line for anybody else because I would have risked getting swept or having the course cut again because the course was cut again sometime after me. So if you are worried about your pace, you may not be able to stand in character lines. So be aware of that. So get your character photos in the parking lot before or after, or even at the expo. There are some characters, especially the ones related to the theme, at those different points. Now, of course, there are the other ones, like I just said, Hercules and Megara, on the course, but you may not be able to do it all races. That may be a 5K race day that you get the character stops because it is untimed. But again, to wrap things up, because I think I went on a little bit of a tangent there, the 16-minute per mile is based on the balloon ladies, the last people to cross the start line. So as long as you start ahead of the balloon ladies, you do not need to keep that 16-minute per mile. So even if you have to walk it more than you want to because you are injured, It's okay. You can still cross the finish line. Okay? Thank you so much for listening. You can always find me on Instagram. I am runDisney DPT, the runDisney Doctor of Physical Therapy. That's all for now. Talk to you soon.